Hello and welcome back to the Squared Circle. B. David Walker.
And me, Joe Ojala.
That's right. We are back in for this week in boxing. There's loads of news to get through, and we're going to get through it in record time. So let's kickstart with the fact that obviously I'm out here live and direct, posted in West Africa, Accra, Ghana. But there's someone else back in West Africa. That's right. We're talking the one and only former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Mr. Anthony Anthony F. Joshua to be precise. Femi is back in Nigeria, running these streets, back in training. I see him out there with Cena. I see him out there with Lats, putting the work in.
Bro, that little running clip of him, that was like a Rocky moment, isn't it? The way AJ has a title that a lot of fighters don't have. And I think it's more important than the world title. He's got the people's champ type of resume, title, right? And the way he's running through the streets of Nigeria, he can do that around the world and everyone will run towards him. That's the champ. And that's the type of aura a lot of fighters don't get in their career, especially the heavyweight champion of the world that AJ has been, right? And today, AJ was back in training for the first time. Is looking like he can start punching again. He was, he was shadow boxing, and then also he was doing some defensive work in the little clip that he released. I didn't see no punching, contact punching, but at least he's back in training. And it's good to see with Anthony Joshua. We want to see Anthony Joshua do well, especially British fans like yourself and mine. Obviously, you know AJ as well. So where does Anthony Joshua go next?
Man, there's plenty of options for him, man. There's plenty of options. The heavyweight division is very wide open. Actually, to be honest with you, I think at this stage it's totally up to him. I think the blessing of him not rushing back after that loss to Daniel Dubois is that people are kind of missing it a bit, which initially, after that loss to Daniel Dubois, there's only two places he could have gone, which would have been Daniel Dubois again or Tyson Fury. But right now, I think people would have AJ against anybody just to see him back again. To be honest with you, there's a lot of fighters that are still in the mix. AJ could rematch Daniel Dubois. I think they're still waiting on Fury coming back, but he could end up deciding that, you know what, I'm going to do that second fight again with Dylan White. He could go and fight. Listen, there's plenty of fights I think for AJ. It's up to him how much money he wants to make. That's what it comes to. Because if AJ wants to fight a Joyce, for example, he could do that and fill up the O2 Arena. But if he wants to fight in Wembley or a stadium, then obviously the name has to be greater from that perspective. It's funny because, you know, the heavyweight division, loads of things are going on this weekend. It was announced, obviously, Fabio Wardley's going to be fighting Gerald Big Baby Miller in Ipswich. Big Baby Miller, former a person who was supposed to be a former opponent of Anthony Joshua, that it never actually got on. It never actually went down. But that's also a fight that I'd also still love to see. But I don't think that fight will ever happen. But I don't know. I think he's got plenty. I think AJ's got plenty of options.
100%. The fighters that come to the first thing that comes to my head is obviously Tyson Fury and Daniel Dubois. A lot of people felt like he can fight Deontay Wilder, Caballero, Parker, even Dillian White you mentioned, even Jake Paul. You know what I mean? They've been negotiating as well, which is a madness to me. But that might be a fight later down in the line, man. But with AJ, look, I would just like to see the Daniel Dubois rematch or Tyson Fury. And look, Eddie Hearn also said that he strongly feels that Tyson Fury will be AJ's next fight. And with Daniel Dubois, it looks like he wants Usyk at Wembley. I think Frank Warren's mentioned it as well. He wants to see they're trying to make that fight happen at Wembley for unification. Would that sell at Wembley? Just a little side question.
No, the reason why I'm laughing, is I was actually going to bring this up later on in the show, right?
Yeah.
You know, Sky Sports put up a post earlier on, I think a couple of days ago, yesterday. They put up a post basically talking about the fact that Frank Warren's trying to get this Usyk versus Daniel Dubois rematch on in Wembley. There was a reply to the post from Turkey, from Mechi. Did you hear about that? Did you see that?
Nah.
Turkey Turkey replied to the post saying good luck, saying good luck, as in like it was kind of cheeky. It was like a cheeky response, kind of like, oh, that's what
I
you might
saw
want to do.
that.
But that's what I'm saying. For me, that's just cheeky though, because why would he
Yeah.
say good luck? Because it sounds like he's saying like, all right, you don't want to do my thing, then you're on your own. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
Like Turkey's on this, he's on this savage thing.
Yeah. To me, it sounded like more like, okay, that's cute. Good luck with trying that, but we're gonna do this fight. Actually, that's what I first thought. I think that they're gonna do the Dubois Usyk trilogy, the undisputed bout, and I can't see it happening in Wembley though. I think it's gonna happen in Riyadh again. But it's we're gonna talk about Turkey. We may as well talk about him now because Turkey's relationship with the promoters right now, it's a bit shaky, like a bit shaky warrior type of scenario there, bro. Because I don't know if the promoters are like, no, we're gonna do this at Wembley without Turki Alalshikh, or is Turki Alalshikh gonna say no, come over to Riyadh and do it in Riyadh? What do you think?
The promoters just want to get the most amount of money for their fighters and the most amount of money for their companies, right? But the promoters have also got ego. And I think it's
Mm.
getting to the stage now where, especially as the promoters are now friends and they're also on the same platform, I think it's going to get to the stage where they're like, yeah, nah, we're all right still. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? I think it's going to get to this, and especially because Turkey's doing his own thing and he hasn't really fully spoken out about what his own thing is. It's like, are you creating an additional rivalry to our team, and are we helping to create that? We have we have made the beast. We've created the beast here. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like they have helped create their own opposition. Do you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And
Mm.
so I think right now there might be some degree of like some tension, some friction. That's why when I saw that thing, he's saying good luck, I was thinking Turkey's like, well, yeah, the same way that he was like with Bivol saying basically told Bivol, you're not doing that Batavia fight. He said
Yeah.
he said it straight. He said Bivol knows what we've done for him over the last thingy. So you know what I'm saying? He made a statement that was basically like Bivol, you ain't fighting Beterbiev. You're gonna do what we're saying
Benavides,
you're gonna
yeah.
do because you know what we've
Yeah.
done for this. Yeah, yeah, but Benavides, yeah.
Oh, they
It's
all sound the
basically
same.
like
Really.
you know what we've done for
Yeah.
him.
You lot know anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say that. Look, I think there's I it's the arrogance that I dislike about Turkey, but then again, I'll probably be the same if I know I can run boxing. Do you know what I mean? So I do think that I do think look, he created a on X, like there was like a live on X basically a few weeks ago, and he basically said that his relationship with the promoters out there is still like rock solid, and they still have a contract that lasts for around 2 years, and he basically didn't show no enthusiasm of getting that contract extended after the 2 years, but he did say he's open to have negotiating new fights in the future. And also Eddie Hearn said about their little boxing league between Dana White, Nick Khan, Turki Alalshikh. Right now they're creating a prospect type of thing first, then I suppose they're gonna go into the big leagues and get the big fighters out there. And it looks like they're going to launch for the Canelo versus Crawford fight. That's their first promotion that these guys TK are going to do together. But it looks like he still wants a good relationship with the promoters. But at the same time, I'm like, it's going to be hard if you're going to create enemies out of promoters, and you already kind of started to create enemies with the belts. So do you think Turki Alalshikh is kind of digging his own grave at the same time of dominating the sport of boxing?
yeah, because there's too many chiefs. And everybody, especially the promoters that have been chiefs for a very long time, running their own companies, running their own thingy, having their own space. And then you've got all these belt organizations that have ran boxing for God knows how long, right? They don't want to bow down and kiss the ring. Like at some
Yeah.
stage, right? You've got Turkey almost saying been the belts, very close to saying that from the fact that he's doing his own thing outside of the belts. Like like I said, you're creating, you're having a rival, you're having what I'm looking at. You are feeding the beast. And I'm not
Yeah.
calling Turkey a beast, but I'm saying basically it's like this brother has come with the money to help you, man, to do things that we couldn't do before. But at the same time, like there's always politics involved because if as long as he was just helping to create the fights, that's fine. But now that
Mm.
he's now creating his own league, his own promotional company, his own fights, his own this and that, he's legitimized his own thing with the Ring magazine. Do you see what I'm saying? Like he is in. He's in
Yeah.
now. And this is not by any small feat. It's by the help of the promoters, by the help of the governing bodies. And so will they still take the turkey bread? Yeah, I'm sure they will still take the turkey
Yeah.
bread. But the enthusiasm of which they did, I don't think it's going to be the same. To be honest with you, I think there's conversations going. Listen, boxing is it's very mafioso. It's very gangster.
Mm.
I'm sure there's conversations going on in the back, like, what are we going to do about my man? We might end up with a problem on our hands. What are we going to do about my man when that happens? I'm sure there's conversations going on because as the statement goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And although Frank and Eddie are not enemies anymore, right? It's like, yeah, we were rivals, but this guy might be stepping on our toes soon. Sooner or later, my man's going to step on our toes. Yeah, he's got a deal with us for 2 years, but maybe he's using us for those 2 years to legitimize himself and to establish himself on this platform. And before you realize, bruv, this guy who might go to the zone and say, you know what? I've helped you to create the biggest boxing platform. We want to be the sole promoters on this platform. How much is it going to cost? And
Mm.
these men are out. Can you all of these things are possible? I know it's like I'm talking conspiracy, right? But it's not outside of
It's not crazy
possibility.
talk.
Yeah, it's not outside of possibility.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you know what? Ever since Turki Alalshikh came into boxing, where it's been like 18 months or something around the lines, right? Since Fury and Ghani, right? We've all been
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, these promoters are taking bread out of Turkey. They're using Turkey, and they're like being smug about it, and like I say, using Turki Alalshikh, right?" But now, obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Maybe it looks like Turkey's been taking their resources, learning from them, seeing how it's been done, how to promote, like what fighters are the best, education of matchmaking, what a promotional company does. Production. You got your matchmakers for your promotional company, contracts, anything. Do you know what I mean? All of that stuff that involves in a fight. Now, even judges, everything, and building relationships as well as the boxing organizations out there as well. Maybe all along he's been an apprentice, but to the world he's the boss. You know what I'm trying to say? And done
Mm-hmm.
his apprenticeship of learning what it takes to like run a box promotional company, doing his own thing, finding Dana White, who's not actually in boxing. I'm sure if Dana White was in boxing directly, I would have there would be a reluctance for Turki Alalshikh to pick him as the leading promoter for his company. But because Dana White's at UFC and Dana White, there's an argument Dana White might be the most successful promoter of all time. I'm sure a lot of MMA fans would say that, right? Taking Dana White, put it together, made their own thing. Now they dominate the sport. So maybe all along, Turkey's been using the promoters as well as the promoters been using them. But he's just being very,
Absolutely.
I suppose, clever about it, sneaky about it.
Now I'm with you 100% on that. I'm with you on 100% on that because the way in which it's just about positioning, strategy. It's about strategy when it comes to a lot of this stuff, and you got to look at what Saudi Arabia has done across multiple different sports, across especially the golf. Right, golf is a very elitist sport. This is almost impossible to get
Mm.
into or get involved in, and they basically bought out the thing. And initially, there were the people that fought against it. A lot of golfers fought against it. The PGA Tour fought against it, and before you realize, they all got sucked in. Like,
Mm.
they are strategic. They're not out here on some joke man thing. They're not out here just throwing money for banter. And a
Mm.
lot of people think that that's the case. A lot of people have been looking at it as if that's been the case, as if, you know, Turkey's out here getting taken for a ride. No, Turkey's out here paying the money because the money gives him the ability to learn. The money gives him access and it gives him legitimacy. It gives him the platforms. Like, listen, no other promoter has been able to be on across multiple platforms across a fight. Period. Until Turkey. Think about it.
Mm.
Turkey was getting TNT Sport, their zone, and Sky Sports time. Basically, he legitimized himself in front of the world's audience. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, he was across platform as an entity, as a human being, which means that when he decides, as he's decided now, to start up his own thing, like, he's not an unknown figure because he has been active across the faces of everybody in the world of boxing.
Mm. 100%. I feel like he's been really quiet for last month now, and lot's been happening. But like, there's a lot of boxing that Turkey's going to be involved in within the next month. Obviously, end of the month, you got Eubank Ben, then you got the New York card with Garcia, Tio, and Haney involved. Then you got Canelo in Saudi, and everything starts to pick up again. And you got a great point. He's come in and made himself the most recognizable, respectable figure in terms of who to go to make these big fights happen. And I felt like he won the hearts of the fans. Then he kind of not ruined it, but the fans looked at him in a different angle when he created that boxing league. Um, I don't really like the idea of the boxing league because I don't like the UFC model personally. But look, then he felt like the fans are getting away from him. He brings it back saying, I'm working with these promoters and I still got respect for the belts. So I'm not saying Turki Alalshikh is a people pleaser. I think he's too smart and doesn't really, give a damn enough. But I think he's a very strategic player, like you said. And he knows if the fans are on my side, I can do anything I want, as well as having billions to spend for these fights. But it's only time will tell what his true intentions are. I don't know. It's hard to figure him out right now.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I don't think there's a lot of people that's having this conversation on this level about all of these chess pieces that are moving and what Turkey's long term goal is. It isn't just on the basis of helping other promoters to make the big fights happen. No.
Mm.
Turkey wants in. Saudi wants in boxing. They want to dominate the space. They want. Do you see what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
like, I think it's Trojan horse business. That's why, if you know, what I mean, putting my conspiracy theory hat on, it's real Trojan horse business. I'm bringing the freaking the Trojan horse, and you're gonna open the gates and let me in. And now that you've opened the gates and let me in, now I'm gonna take the city. Now, no, you understand what I'm saying? That's the
They are
vibe. That's the
playing.
vibe.
They are playing the Game of Thrones. They're playing the boxing Game of Thrones right now, bro. That's
Straight up.
literally what they're all doing. All of these promoters are having strategic. They all know. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones here, but anyone watch Game of Thrones right now? Turki Alalshikh is the Lannisters. This is coming to dominate everything now. Right now, yeah. But we'll see with Turki Alalshikh, man. But a lot of boxing happened recently, David. I want to quickly move on to actually, I want to speak about Wally versus Miller. This is the heavyweight scene. Did you watch the press conference?
Mm. I did. I did. I
What
did.
did you think?
Exactly what I expected, man. Exactly what I expected, man. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller can get into a fight in the phone box. He can get into a fight with himself on the phone. Like,
Yeah.
he's box, but he's actually box office when it comes to that. When it comes to promotion, when it comes to trash talk, when it comes to getting hyped and getting anti, he is he. You know what? I would have loved to have seen him fight Dillian White. I would have loved it
I
because
would love that.
the
Yeah.
chatting, the talk between those two would have been crazy.
Fireworks.
Like, obviously, he was supposed to fight Derek Chisora, and it's funny because I think Derek would have just found him funny. I don't think Derek would have ended up even getting angry at him. I think Derek would have found him funny. But with Dillian White, I think that would have been
Well, that's
absolutely
it.
perfect. And it's funny that it's actually Dillian's protege that he's fighting in Fabio Woodley.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Say what you want about Joe Miller, about the PEDs, um, how he is as a fighter. One thing that no one can take away from Joe Miller is that this man knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to sell a fight, and he did it once again the other day. The best way, the only way Joe Miller knows how to sell a fight, with aggression, a lot of smack talk, and trying to scrap with each other. And he basically used the same aggression, type of vocabulary, I suppose, that he did back in 2019 against Anthony Joshua when they were meant to fight. He was saying stuff like, "Say this or say this if you're hard enough. Say this if you're hard enough. Otherwise, I'm gonna come with you." And then kind of made Wardy look a bit. He probably thought I'm making Wardy look like a punk right now, but I don't think Wardy looked like a punk. I think he's trying to make himself, you know, make the world look like Wardy's a punk. But with Jerome Miller, is a lot of people feel like he doesn't deserve these opportunities because of the past with AJ. He injected everything and the sun into his batty crease. That these PEDs are crazy,
Bro,
but to
how
be
do
fair,
you know where he injected it, bro?
everyone knows this.
Man
Everyone knows this.
nah,
Where is
you ain't
the
gonna skirt past that. You ain't gonna skirt
the
past
type
that,
of
brother.
substances he took, you have to inject it into your butt cheek, yeah, and it's something that it can't be from any type of mistake. You intentionally tried to have a steroid advantage at Anthony Joshua, right? But nonetheless, that's done now. I thought the press conference was great. I thought him wearing the Norwich top, obviously, is going to be at Ipswich Stadium. I think Jerome Miller is going to be serious for this fight, man. In terms of, of course, he lost to Daniel Dubois, and in my opinion, he was extremely overweight. I know Big Baby fights overweight. He fights probably like 300 pounds, but I think, like, correct me in the comments, but I think he was near 400 pounds against Daniel Dubois, or something crazy like that, something stupid like that. Anyway, or near 300 pounds, something. I don't know what the number was, but obviously I'm from the UK, so I don't know the pounds numbers, but it was a ridiculous weight. Now I think Jerome Miller, who trains under Boots Ennis's dad, Bozy Ennis, ever since he joined them, and especially with the Andy Ruiz performance, he gave a good performance against Andy Ruiz. Now, Fabio Ward is not Andy Ruiz. I think Fabio Ward will easily beat Andy Ruiz now. What's the percentage of chance do you give Jerome Miller winning this fight against Fabio Wardley?
Now I'll give him a very good percentage, to be honest with you, because I think he beat Andy Ruiz. I
Yeah,
think I think I think he got cheated in that fight, to be honest with you. I think he beat Andy Ruiz in that Los Angeles clash.
yeah.
But I give him good press. But the thing is, Wardley is he's like a gladiator, like a Spartan. That's the way in which I see him. I see him like he's actually like a throwback warrior. I don't even look at him like a boxer.
Yeah.
He just finds a way. He finds a way. That's basically what it is. He grits his teeth and finds a way. You have to knock him out to win. Like
Mm.
that's the truth. And the question is, can Jerome Miller knock him out? I don't know. I'm not convinced. But I think it's going to be one hell of a fight, an absolute one hell of a fight, because for this one, the pressure is going to be heavily on Fabio Wardley. After the everything that he's done so far in the division, I think this is for an interim world title as well. Everything that he's done with that Fraser Clark knockout, he's beaten every challenge that has come his way, every level, every step up. But the question is, as somebody that used to do white collar boxing and has no real amateur experience, is he going to come a cropper at some stage? That's where the question is. And this is another acid test. And it's a very, very strong acid test. We'll see if Jerome Miller still has the punch output that he previously had. Yeah, we took him some years back now. But his
Yeah.
punch output was one of the best in the heavyweight division. So we'll see if that is back, if that is still active, and we'll see the explosiveness, the ferociousness, and the power of a Fabio Woodley. Fabio Woodley isn't a big heavyweight by no stretch. He could probably get into the cruiserweight limit. He could definitely make the bridgerweight,
Yeah.
whatever that is. He could definitely make that. But he's a very, very small heavyweight. But the power is has shown to be prevalent. So we'll see how that one.
Night with Joe Joyce, Filip Hrgović. First of all, Joe Joyce loses to Filip Hrgović. What are your initial thoughts about Joe Joyce's continuous idea to continue his career?
Boxing is a tough sport. It's a very, 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 very tough sport with loads of opinions that could have detrimental effects on boxers' ability to make money. I have no idea how much money he's made in his career. I have no idea what his passion and love is for the sport. I find it hard to call time on somebody's career. You know, though boxing is a tough sport and usually the fighter is the last one to know, I find it hard to call time on somebody's boxing career, because I think as an adult, when you lace those gloves and you go into the ring, you lace those gloves and you go into the ring.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for me to say it. Do I think he can reach the summit again? No. That's the more
Yeah.
question that I'd like to answer. Do I think he's going to reach the summit again? No. Do I think he's going to be a world champion? No, I don't. But in terms of him retiring, if people want to watch him fight, then you know he's aware of the dangers and so on and so forth, and he's a fully grown adult. I find it difficult to say that this person should retire and this person should do that or
Yeah.
this or whatever. You know.
No, I agree with everything you've said there. To be fair, with Joe Joyce, his performance against Filip Hrgović was actually pretty good. To be fair, in my opinion, I thought he done well against Hrgović, and I thought it was a really close fight. But now it's 4 losses in 5 for Joe Joyce. So it's like I know Frank Warren said he's going to be having some words with Joe Joyce, and it looks like he's going to try and not make him retire, but look at retirement as an option.
Frank is going to have some words with Joe Joyce and say, Joe, how about you fight Moses? Frank is going to leave Joe in the game, bro. Trust me, man.
You think so?
Joe is not done. Trust me. Listen, Joe's going to be like, nah, I still want to fight. Frank will be like, all right, okay, cool. Listen, no, I've got a good fight for you. How about you fight Moses? I'm telling you, Frank, he's not gone. He's not done.
I mean, at the end of the day, he can do what he wants to do. Like, it's true. Like, no one told him to get into the gym, so who we'd say to get out of the gym, right? So I suppose it's fair, isn't it? But look, good luck to Joe Joyce. Extremely likable man. I worry for your health, but at the same time, I understand your love and passion and wanting to fight. So who am I to take that away? And I've got no really say in it. At the end of the day, it's his decision when to actually say I'm done. So I quickly want to talk about David Adelaide versus TKV. David Adelaide knocking out TKV after a controversial, I suppose, incidents with the referee not holding down, but basically tapping TKV's arm down out of the clinch. Then obviously David Adelaide lands a shot which drops TKV, and after that knocking out TKV. Right. In my opinion, the whole card, there wasn't the most top standard level of refereeing that there should be in a boxing bout, an extremely dangerous sport that boxing is. I just want to ask you what your initial thoughts about
that. Yeah. To be honest with you, I think we've just seen a lot of that in boxing recently.
Yeah.
Across many different fights, across many different boxing commissions, and it makes me wonder: is this something that we've seen recently, or is it something that's always been the case? And that obviously we've got more high-profile fights now, so you're seeing it a lot more often from that perspective. I think there are more displays of bad refereeing than there is displays of good refereeing. And I think that's the case across refereeing. I think that's the case across refereeing, across sports. Like you see that in football, you see it. But obviously in boxing, it's a dangerous sport. So you want refereeing to be on point. And I'm not trying to sit here and make an excuse for that ref in that instance. Because yeah, the fact that there's several things in that. He denied saying break, that he said break. You know, well, you
Mm,
did. You can over go ahead. He said break twice.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know, throughout the whole fight, he was slapping and tapping arms throughout the fight. Like I watched the whole fight back, and man was doing like slapping. Like he spent the whole fight just slapping man. I was thinking,
Yeah,
what are you doing? Like
yeah.
just slapping hands and slapping arms and that, just walking around touching man. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like
Mm,
sometimes the touching weren't even to break things. There's like man just wanted contact. I don't know what it was like. There were certain things that I weren't really a major fan of. The good thing that I rate and respect of David Adelaide is that he's like, well, I'll give him the rematch. He was on Talksport earlier
yeah,
on, and they were like, the board are going to convene tomorrow, which is on Wednesday for those that are watching this late, and you know maybe they might rule it a no contest, or maybe they might call it for a rematch.
yeah.
Maybe they might not do anything. Maybe they may not say anything about this. Anyway, but David was like, regardless of whatever it is, like I'm
Down.
down for a rematch. So you know what I'm saying? Like David's like, I'll run it 6 to 8 weeks. I'll run it any stage between now and Fabio's fighting soon. I'll do it on then. Like
Mm,
I'm down to see the fight again. To be honest, not because it was a thrilling, exciting fight, but more so because I think to for it to end conclusively, so that people can just get their thing and move on and go which way you want to go. How did you see that whole incident?
to be fair, pretty much the way you did as well. Look, I think TKV was doing really well in the fight. To be fair, I thought he was winning the fight, and I think the referee. My opinion is the same as the majority. To be honest, I think the referee was wrong there. I think the referee made a massive error. I didn't like the way he slapped TKV's arm now, because when you say break and you slap down a glove, you think for some reason, I suppose he has some mental sense of security there where a shot's not going to come in. So it kind of like disrupted fight mode, if that kind of makes sense. That's how it looked like to me, and I think it was really poor. And wrong from the referee. And I know we're aware of time as well, but I just got a quick question about referees in general in sport. Do you think referees should be held accountable to do interviews after? I'm sure we got a lot to talk about in that point, but maybe we could do that in another episode. But just a quick little thought about referees and doing interviews post games.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll give a bit more accountability, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to make it any better for them in terms of people going to like them anymore. No,
Limelight
but
being
I
on them.
think it
Yeah.
just gives. I think it's just a little bit of accountability from that perspective. You know, they get to make whatever decisions they want to make, and then they just fade off into the background. Same with judges. To be honest with you, like I think if somebody could say, if a judge could say why they scored a fight in a certain way, I think it will give some people some insight. It would even help the fighters as well from that perspective to have an understanding of, okay, all right, this is why you did this. Do you understand what I'm saying? I didn't see it like that, but okay, now I know that this is why you did this. Now I know this is what you like. That's now I know that when I'm fighting and you're the one that's refereeing, this is how you're gonna. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
those kind of things could help boxers, can help fighters, and can help teams. To be honest with you, and it can help the refs to be a lot more responsible and accountable for their decisions. You know, if the ref says, "Oh, I didn't say that," then they were like, "Well, we've got the replay right here where you say it." Do you see what I'm saying? Then you
Mm,
know going to hear what his response is going to be at that stage. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like, but I don't know if that's ever going to be the case because all organizations want to protect referees, and
yeah.
that's just what it is. Whether it's you're talking about the Premier League and the PGMOL, you're talking about the boards, like all commissions, organizations, they want to protect referees because yes, they do a very tough job and they're supposed to be impartial. Um, it makes it a little bit difficult for them from that perspective. And there's not a huge influx of referees anyway. So if a referee then gets excommunicated, then this makes it difficult for more fights to happen. So
Yeah. For sure. I think if they make that move, it's either going to go really well, or it's going to go extremely wrong. I don't think it's going to be.
I don't think it ever go well. I mean, well is
Yeah,
like Yeah, well, it's like,
Yeah,
well, it's
yeah.
like
To be fair,
Saturday.
if I'm them as well, I probably wouldn't get referees on there. But at the same time, as fans and fighters, I think we do deserve an explanation, especially the fighters. But it is what it is. Guys, let us know in the comments. Do you think referees should have, interviews after the fight or after any type of sporting background? Let us know in the comments. And lastly, I just want to talk about what's happening this month in April with boxing. A lot of boxing, a lot of great fights. This week, we've got a unification between Jerome Boots Ennis and Stanionis for the IBF and WBA world titles. The week after that, we got the big one, the big rematch from a controversial first fight between Ben Whittaker and Liam Cameron. And lastly, in the final week of April, we got the big one, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Great week, great month of boxing. Great following weeks of boxing coming up, David.
Huge amount of boxing coming up. The schedule is scheduling. All right, because the week after that, you know what I'm saying, then we enter Canelo zone, we enter New York zone, we enter the madness. So it's like right now it's just been festering and it's been marinating. That's what we've had right
Sprinkle a
now,
bit
the
of new in there
marination.
as well.
And soon you understand what I'm saying? Sprinkle a bit of Neuer in there, a new and it's gonna be it's there's a huge amount of great boxing coming up. And I just want people to let us know what their predictions are now for all those fights coming up. What I want to know, what prediction I want to know is how many rounds is Ben Whittaker versus Liam Cameron going to be? Is it going to be 10 rounds or is it going to be 12? Let us know in the comments below.
That's true. I
Yeah.
reckon.
So I think you reckon what 10? You reckon 10, yeah? You reckon they're going to pay Cameron a bit more for him to sign a new deal and
Dude,
get it down to 10?
I do. That story's a madness, but
Yeah,
we'll talk about it during fight preview for next week.
most definitely. Most definitely. Well, guys, listen, you're going to see much more of me and Joe. I think we sorted out the way in which we're going to do this whilst I'm away in Ghana. So you're going to see much more of me and Joe throughout the week, not just once a week, maybe not even just twice a week. You might see us every 2 days. Anytime something breaks in boxing, expect a video from us. And hit us up in the comments if we ain't spoken about something in boxing, and we'll make sure we get onto it. I've been David Loka.
And I've been Joe Orgula.
You've been watching The Squared Circle, and we will see you again next time.
Peace out, guys.